For IELTS, I told you that we are looking at the academic. We have two types. We have the general, and then we also have the academic. But because you are going to study in an academic discourse community, you have to take the IELTS academic. And we have two modes of delivery. We have the paper-based test. For the paper-based test, you go to the center, the IELTS center, and then you sit down in the examination room. They give you let me see, the question paper and let me see, an answer booklet or whatever. Then so it's a paper-based test. And a computer-based test, you actually sit in front of a computer and then with a keyboard, and then you type. So do you prefer handwriting or do you prefer typing? So if you're very good at typing, then you have no problem in using taking the computer-based test. If you know you're not good at typing, then you would go for the paper-based test. Also, if you also love to read on computers, or if you love reading on screens, then I think a computer-based test will be good for you. But if you like reading on paper, like me, then the paper-based test will be good for you. So it depends on your preference. So let's look at the format. The IELTS consists of 4 sections. Basically, we have the listening section, which takes 30 minutes. You are going to be the number of questions provided is 40. You also have the reading section. You have 60 minutes. That's basically an hour. 40 questions. Writing is the same thing. 60 minutes. You have 2 tasks. And then with the speaking, it ranges from 1 to 4, depending on depending on the situation. I mean, how it goes, or depending on the kind of questions they ask you, and depending on the kind of answers you had also given, the length at which you give those answers. So for the listening, okay, basically what happens is that with the listening, you'll be given, it depends on the mode of delivery that you are, it depends on the mode of delivery. If you're using a computer, if you're taking a computer-based test, you actually be putting on, I'm sure you'll be putting on a headset, okay, a headset to actually listen to what is being said, and then you select answers based on what you hear. So as I said, you're going to be in an academic discourse community. So with the listening section, some of the tasks is that a lecturer might be engaging with his or her students, and then you'll be listening to the conversation, okay? And then there'll be blanks in, let me see, within the question paper. They might summarize the lecture, the lecture, and then there'll be blanks in there. So what you hear is what you fill in. So you fill in the blanks, okay? You also there will also so depending, you might have maybe the speaker that is being or the audio, okay, let me see, the audio might be giving directions, and then you look at your question paper, and then if the audio says it's, so let's say maybe walk straight, take a left turn, and you see, let's see, let me see, the computer building. So you also look at your question paper. You also have a diagram, okay, giving the description of, let me see, the directions. And then what you do is that you just so you just circle the place and stuff. So you just listen to the audio, and then you just answer questions based on that, okay, based on what you hear. For the reading, is the same thing. It's actually, you read a passage, okay, you have to understand the passage, and then you answer questions based on what you based on what you read and based on your understanding of the passage. That's it. For IELTS writing, we have 2 tasks. We are just trying to assess your writing skills. So task 1 basically deals with you visualizing, let me see, a data. So you begin the data, you just visualize it, and then you describe the data. That's basically it. With the so with the same task 1, you have to write at least 150 words in 20 minutes. Okay, and then with the task 2, is the same. You analyze an argument or a problem, and then you need to write your response within 40 minutes. You have to write about at least 250 words. So what the examiner is actually looking out for is how do you respond to the task. We're actually looking at your lexical resource, and then we're also looking at your coherence and your cohesion, and then we're also looking at your can you please the slide. Okay, so let's take an example of tax one. So with tax one, you actually have a diagram, okay. But what you're supposed to do is to analyze the diagram, okay, and then you just give a response. You summarize what you see, okay, like what you see. So for example, you should spend about 20 minutes on this tax. The bar charts below illustrates 5 different industries percentage share of Brazil's economy in 2009 and 2019, with a forecast for 2029. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and making comparison where relevant. So basically, you just assess or you just analyze your bar chart, okay, or your bar graph. You can see that there are different. So within Brazil's economy, you can see finance, food processing, manufacturing, tourism, and then so the different sector of the economy. All right, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 different sectors. Okay, and then it tells you the percentages. Okay, of the economy within different years. So what you just summarize it. Okay, you give so you start you introduce you state your introduction. Okay, then you state your introduction. You state the overall, like, what do you see over so what do you see? So maybe this maybe the bar maybe the bar chart. So you just paraphrase the topic being given as your introduction. Okay, and then within the body you give your overall observation, and then as the first paragraph, the second paragraph, you can then analyze the trends that you see. Okay, so let's say in 2009 for finance, there was a gradual increase in let me see the economy in terms of the finance sector. There was a gradual increase and then from 2009 to 2019. Okay, from 2009 to 2019, and then the projection that's been made. So you just give a general view, and then the body three, you give you give specific details whereby you would quote let me see, percentages and other how do you call it, figures. All right. So, but make sure that the kind of the amount of words that you produce should be more than 150 words. And then with the tax two, it's basically the same thing, just like the issue AC or the argument, just like the issue AC. You'll be given a task which you should respond within 40 minutes. So, for example, we are becoming increasingly dependent on computer-based technology. How do you think it will? How do you think it will change in the future? Is it good for us to rely so much on computers? So depending on what you think, depending on your opinion, depending on how you, from your perspective, you just give a reason. Make sure your reason is compelling enough, and then you give tangible examples, compelling. Make sure your essay is compelling enough. Your reason is compelling enough, and then yeah, the least number of words you should write in the text two is 250 words, and basically that's it. For the Ielts speaking, we have 3 sections. Okay, so Ielts speaking is basically, let me see, an interview you would have with let me see the interviewer. Okay, so it's basically an interview that you have. They will just ask you basic questions and then you would answer. So the interviewer will basically the examiner will basically introduce him or herself to you. Okay, so as soon as, so let's say you are going to have the IELTS speaking. So you enter the examination, you enter the room. Okay, the gentleman or the lady will ask you for your passport, then ask for your name. You give your name, and then it starts with familiar topics. Okay, so what's your name? What do you do? So you basically introduce yourself. Okay, you can talk about, then you have basic conversations like where do you come from? Simple conversations. Okay, and then with tax two, you'll be given a clue card. I mean, you'll be given a card or a paper that would describe or will have a topic, okay, and to tell you or to give you prompts on what you should highlight. All right, you'll be given a minute to prepare for this task, and then you use 2 minutes to speak. Okay, and then with task three is basically further questions from task 2. All right, so an example of the IELTS speaking in so next slide. An example would be, so for example, the examiner might ask you, so where do you live in your country? Okay, so basically you just go, I come from Ghana, and I live at Dansoman. I live at Dansoman with my parents. So then you give basic reasons why why you prefer living there. You get it? So let me say it's like you're selling yourself out. So try and sell yourself out. It's just a basic interview. So just sell yourself out. But make sure you would answer the question being asked. Okay, and then you give reason to it. All right. So maybe, so let's say I come from Ghana, okay, and that's my home country, and I live in the capital city, Accra, and that's my birthplace. Blah 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 blah. I really love the place because blah 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 blah. Okay, so then the next question follows. Is it an interesting place to live? So basically, it depends on your. Sometimes the examiner might cut you if, let's say, you are talking too much, or maybe maybe you've exceeded a particular time or something. The examiner might cut you and then ask you a next question. So what hobbies and interests are popular in your country? So you just tell the examiner that, oh, okay, in my country, popular hobbies, that's okay. There are different hobbies that have been that people really find interest in. For example, when you look at kids like this, we have they play the likes of they love playing games. Some also love reading. When you look at this kind of people, they also love going for boating, swimming, and that. So, and then you just give reasons why people love doing that. And then which hobbies interest you yourself. Okay, maybe I love during my free time I do love to read, and because when I read I do get, maybe I love reading inspirational books to actually motivate me and this kind of stuff. So you state something, just give a reason to it, and then yeah, basically that. And then for part 2, you begin the clue card. So for example, the question the clue card might tell you to describe a gift or a present someone gave you recently, and then what you should say what the occasion was, who gave it to you, and what it looked like. So and explain how you felt about receiving it. So this is actually the prompt that you be given, and then all what you do is that you be given 1 minute to prepare. So you just be given a paper with or a scratch card with a pencil, and then what you do is that you jot down notes or things you would like to say when you're speaking, and then you have to make sure you talk at most 2 minutes. So just keep talking, but make sure that when you are talking, you would answer the specific questions being given in the clue card. As simple as that. And then for part 3, the examiner will just ask you further questions based in part 2. Basically that. So that's it. So I've given you an example of a video over there, and I've also given you links that if you want to read much more about the IELTS format, the scoring details, and if you want practice questions, those are the links over there. And yeah, I forgot to state that because of COVID, ETS has brought a new should I say a new testing, or let me say a new mode of taking the GRE test. So we have something called the home home GRE, whereby you can sit at the comfort of your home and then you can take the GRE test in your home. All right. One will ask me that how do you know whether or how would they know whether I'm cheating or something? There's something called the proctor, which would actually how do you call it? Should I say should I use the word observe you or something? Yeah, let me use that word. And then we also have for the IELTS here, for the IELTS, we also have the IELTS indicator test. Okay, so if your test center is closed, you can still take the test at your home. Okay, it's basically going to be the same set of questions or the same testing strategy, the same testing format, all right, and the same strategies will still apply. So that's it. Yeah. Okay. So benefits of taking the GRE or the IELTS test. Okay. So for the IELTS test, the IELTS is basically what I said is that we actually want to we actually want to assess your fluency in um, with the English language. So can you actually speak? Can you actually write? Can you actually listen? Can you actually comprehend when you read? We actually want to assess that. So basically, it's meant for non-speaking individuals or people who come from non-native English or from non-English speaking countries. All right. So you need to take this test to prove, okay, to prove that you can actually you have the basic skills with English. You have the basic skills when it comes to the English language. And also, if you want to take up teaching assistantship position, especially in the US, you will need to prove that you can, because you definitely be assisting the lecturer when it comes to maybe teaching, or maybe you have to read an assignment and then you have to mark or you have to assess a quiz or an assignment that a student um, um, would, would take. So you need that test to prove that, okay, yes, you can actually be given this position, and you can actually excel in that position. So because you will be communicating with students and with faculty members. So students who are not coming, so it depends on the requirements of the university. If the university says that students coming from this country who are applying to this university must take this test, you have to take the test. And then, as I said, GRE is an aptitude test. You actually want to test your reasoning skill, your reasoning skill, your logical reasoning skills, and basically, let me say your skills, okay, but your reasoning skills. So it's actually used in grad schools, especially in US, especially. Yeah, you need to take your GRE before you be admitted into the university. All right. That's what they normally use to assess students. Okay. So for example, you are in this university A, another student is also from university B. You all have you all you've all graduated from university, and you think you had let me say a lower GPA. Okay, somebody, you had a lower GPA, somebody also had a higher GPA. By the end, remember, the modes of teaching were different. The modes for assessing you were all different. So how do I put the two of you on the same scale? Okay, so the GRE can then tell me that, okay, I can assess you guys on this particular scale or this particular line, and say that, okay, so far as you took the test, okay, and you also took the test, you had a higher GPA, you had a lower GPA. I think maybe it depends on the school you are coming from. Maybe it depends on, I don't know what happened to you before you failed or something, but I placed you guys on the same scale, okay, to assess you guys. So normally it's used to cut off students. Let's say if the school needs 50 students, and then there are let's say about 250 applicants, and the school wants to make let's say take 50 students. Or what the school can see is that, okay, because let's say this is an engineering field, the engineering does with we are basically looking at your math skills. So I can say that, okay, my cutoff will be the minimum cutoff might be 150 in quantitative section. So computer select students who had about 150 in quantitative section, and then let's then further assess them. So it's used to get into grad school. It's also used to secure a merit-based fellowship or funding. So some schools, before they give you funding, okay, they want to give funding to their best students. Okay, so they just look at your GRE score and say, okay, you had a very high GRE score. Therefore, if this scholarship, if this school gives scholarship based on merit, based on your academic performance, you had a high GRE score, so we want to give you this amount of funds to support you in your studies. It's used to compare other applicants. Yeah, I just said that, and it's very useful when you have a lower GPA. Yeah, so let's say you just graduated out from college, and then you had a very low GPA. Okay, you know you're a good student, all right, but you had a low GPA. The only thing that you can do is to take the GRE test, and then the GRE will then serve as a proof that okay, this guy, because remember it's an aptitude test. Okay, it's made up of harder questions. So if you're able to solve it, then the admission committee might say that okay, this guy or this girl did extremely well in the test, and definitely, I think let's look at his transcripts and let's see how he performed in the various courses. And okay, I think this student might be a promising student in our master's program. So yeah, is it compulsory? Yes and no. Okay, it depends on the university. It depends on the university admission requirement. So what you're supposed to do is to check the admission requirement of the university that you want to apply to, and then see whether you are supposed to write it. You are supposed to take the test, or you're not supposed to take the test. If the school tells you that GRE is not a requirement, then that's not a requirement. Don't take the test. But the school says that okay, GRE is not a requirement, but we use that to blah 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 blah. Then it will be advisable that you take the test to aid in your in getting you into the school of your choice. Yeah. So that's it. So as I said, I tutored at Perfect Score. I tutored I basically teach the math section, okay, in SAT, GRE, and then GMAT, because I'm an engineering student. I love maths. I don't like English. I love maths. Yeah. So yeah, Perfect Score. It's a great place to take your GRE because I have studied there and I have excelled in my test, and we have a lot of students that have gone to top universities. Talk about Ielts. I know students who took their ACT and then who are currently in Yale. I know of students who took the GRE and currently in Columbia University and at John Hopkins, and then Harvard and MIT. Yeah. And then for the GMAT, also for that's business school. I know of a student in Columbia, who actually took the test and excelled, and currently is reading business in Columbia. Yeah, and I'm actually in Oxford, but I took the GRE exams, and I'm currently here. I'm actually done with my studies. Yeah, so I can recommend Perfect Score Institute to you. So anybody who is trying to prepare for GRE or trying to prepare for Ielts test or PMP or ACT. ACT is meant for undergraduate studies. GRE is actually meant for your master's and your PhD. I mean your master's and your doctoral studies, and then and GMAT is actually meant for business. Those who want to study in business school. Yeah, so I'll recommend Perfect Score Institute to you because I can give testimony to that. Yeah, so those are the the numbers are below your screen. So yeah. Lois,
yeah,
it was
thank you
challenging.
so much. Yeah, I can remember. I know trying to squeeze all the information in less than an hour could be quite cumbersome because like it's very detailing, and I'm very grateful that you've had to detail all these points just so we can know, I mean, what goes into it and how someone who has the materials could also prepare for it.